So what if you could actually solve intelligence itself? I'm not talking about building a program that's just good at one thing, but, creating a universal problem-solving machine. It's a question that used to be pure science fiction, right? But today we're going to dive into the real-life story of DeepMind and see how this one single-minded pursuit is creating technology that is radically reshaping our world. This quote from DeepMind's co-founder, Demis Hassabis, really just says it all. This one sentence lays out the sheer scale of their mission. This isn't about making a new app or a slightly faster computer. Nope. It's about forging the ultimate tool to solve, well, everything else. An ambition so huge, it almost sounds impossible. All right, so here's a roadmap for our story today. We're going to start with that initial dream of AGI. Then we'll step into the proving ground of classic video games. We'll witness what's been called AI's Sputnik moment, see the critical shift from games to science, grapple with the incredible power and, the peril of this tech. And finally, we'll just kind of think about what it all means for humanity's next chapter. So it all started with these two researchers, Demis Hassabis and Shane Legg. They met at University College London, and they were both completely obsessed with one thing, artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Now, you got to understand, at the time, AI was, and I'm quoting here, almost an embarrassing word to use. Seriously, mainstream scientists just didn't go there. So their shared passion felt, in their own words, like they were the keepers of a secret that no one else knew. Okay, so armed with this big secret, they tried to start a company. Can you just imagine their pitch to venture capitalists? Hey, so we're going to solve intelligence. As you can probably guess, they were met with a wall of skepticism. Most investors saw it as a total lottery ticket, asking stuff like, so what's your product? While Hassabis was trying to explain that they were building something that could literally change human history. So how in the world do you even start building general intelligence? Their core idea was brilliant, actually. Use games, not for fun, but as this perfect, self-contained digital petri dish. It was a place where they could develop and test a single algorithm's ability to just learn. The theory was pretty simple. If you can get one system to master a whole bunch of different games without being pre-programmed with the rules for each one, then you're on the path to something truly general. The method at the heart of all this is called reinforcement learning, and it's this really elegant, simple loop. You have an agent, that's the AI, and it observes an environment, like an old Atari game. It takes an action, like moving the joystick. The game then gives it a reward, which is just the score going up. And the AI's only goal, its entire purpose in life, is to figure out what actions get it the biggest reward. No rulebook, no strategy guide, just pure, relentless trial and error. And at first, it was a total disaster. The first tests on the super simple game of Pong were so bad the team started to worry, saying, maybe we're just wrong. We can't even do Pong. But then it started to click. Soon it was unbeatable at Pong, so they moved it on to the game Breakout. And after hundreds of games of just flailing around, it did something that just blew their minds. It discovered a strategy that no human had ever programmed into it. It figured out how to dig a tunnel around the side of the bricks, sending the ball up top to just wreak havoc. This was the first real sign that the system couldn't just learn, it could actually discover. So after conquering Atari, DeepMind set its sights on something way bigger. A monumental challenge, the ancient, incredibly profound game of Go. For AI researchers, Go was the holy grail. It's so complex that most experts were predicting a machine that could beat the world's best player was still at least a decade away. This was gonna be the ultimate test. To really wrap your head around the complexity of Go, just look at this number. There are more possible board positions in Go than there are atoms in the known universe. I mean, just let that sink in. You can't just brute force your way to a win, like in chess. Winning Go takes something that feels a lot more like intuition, a deep, almost artistic feel for the game. And this all set the stage for this historic match between DeepMind's program, AlphaGo, and the legendary world champion Lee Sedol. The real question here wasn't just about raw processing power. It was about something deeper. Could an algorithm produce a moment of genuine insight, of artistry, or maybe even a kind of creativity that was totally alien to us? Millions of people were watching the live broadcast. And then, in the second game, AlphaGo played a move that just silenced the entire room. It was so unexpected, so totally against millennia of human strategy, that the expert commentators, they were just speechless. That move would become famous, known simply as Move 37. And here's the key thing to understand. Move 37 wasn't just a good move. It was beautiful, it was creative, and it felt completely alien. AlphaGo itself calculated the odds of a human master playing that same move at 1 in 10,000. In a game that's thousands of years old, an AI had just discovered brand new knowledge. It really was a Sputnik moment that changed the conversation about what AI could be forever. So after the triumph of AlphaGo, the mission shifted. The games had done their job. They were the training ground. They had proven the power of their core idea. Now it was time to point this incredibly powerful new tool away from the game board and aim it straight at the grand challenges of science. Their first big target was the protein folding problem, a 50-year-old grand challenge in biology. See, proteins are the tiny machines that run everything in our bodies, and their function is all about their complex 3D shape. If you could crack the code to predict that shape, you could revolutionize medicine. We're talking about designing drugs for diseases like Alzheimer's or cancer with unbelievable precision. That's the dream. But the scientific community was, let's just say, deeply skeptical. This quote from a biologist really captures the mood. The problem was seen as so ridiculously hard, many thought it was basically impossible to solve. So for this AI lab, fresh off of playing board games, to waltz in and say they were going to crack it, well, it was seen as incredibly audacious, to put it mildly. So what happened? Well, at CASP, which is basically the Olympics of protein folding, the results were just staggering. On this scale, a score over 90 is considered a solution. DeepMind's system, called AlphaFold 2, didn't just win. It achieved a median accuracy of 92.4. It didn't just get a high score, it fundamentally solved the problem, sending just massive shockwaves through the entire scientific world. Okay, so you discover new knowledge in an ancient game, then you solve a 50-year-old problem in biology. This incredible, rapid scaling of what AI can do, it inevitably leads to some really profound and frankly urgent questions about the responsibility that comes with creating something this powerful. And this is where DeepMind's whole philosophy is so different from the typical Silicon Valley mantra of move fast and break things. I mean, that philosophy is just dangerously reckless when the stakes are this high. As the source material puts it pretty bluntly, with AGI, you can't afford to break things and then fix them afterwards. You might only get one shot to get this right. And these risks, they aren't science fiction. They are very real concerns coming from experts and even the founders themselves. Things like an AI that could destabilize financial markets, manipulate political leaders, or enable autonomous weapons and massive disinformation campaigns. The stakes just could not be higher. And all of that brings us to today. Right now, we are standing at a civilizational crossroads. We are actively building what might be the single most important technology in all of human history. And its future? Well, that part isn't written yet. This quote really puts the potential impact into perspective. We are not talking about some small incremental change here. The arrival of true AGI could be a dividing line in our species' history as fundamental as the discovery of fire or the invention of agriculture. A moment after which absolutely nothing is ever the same. We began this whole journey with a scientific question. Can machines think? Can they learn? Can they create? And the story of DeepMind shows us that the answer is an increasingly loud yes. But that very success has pushed us towards a much more profound question. And this one is for all of us. How will we, as a species, choose to manage a future with something that can think? That right there is the real thinking game, and it's one we are all playing right now.